What's going on, you guys? Coaster here. I just wanted to show a little beard update. Yeah, I have not shaved since the playoffs started, maybe a couple of days before. So, yeah, it'll be about 2 months by the time the series ends, one way or another, that this thing will go off. But yeah, I'm happy I've gotten to grow the beard to the fullest length possible with the and making the Stanley Cup Finals. So, hope you all have had a good beard too. I'm thankful that at work that I'm allowed to grow one, and I don't have like a New York Yankees policy where you have to shave. So, yeah, happy that this beard's going full, and it sounds like I've been spotted. So, let's see. So, yeah, the Sharks are playing the Penguins for the Stanley Cup. The hated Pittsburgh Penguins, or really liked Pittsburgh Penguins, depending on which side of the coast you're on. You know, the biggest thing, and we look at trends and based on simple things, whenever a team goes to a game 7 in the conference finals and they win it, they've often gone to the Stanley Cup finals and won it. The Penguins did that against the Lightnings, and so trends will say the Penguins are going to win based on something like that. Like the last 4 or 5 times a conference finals has gone 7, that team has gone on to win because their backs were truly against the wall. So yeah, there's that. Then there's the other trend of the Penguins firing their coach mid-season, which we all know they did previously with Michel Therrien, made Dan Bylsma the head coach, and then now they have, I think it was Johnston, and now it's Sullivan, who's their current head coach. You know, that's another move that happened. They axed their coach, they got better. Suddenly the players have responded, and they have gone on a very good tear since. So Penguins, definitely, that trend would happen. And then the other one, of course, is Peter DeBoer. Takes his first team, the first year of existence, he takes them to the Stanley Cup Final, only to suddenly lose. I don't know if track record says that his relationship is stale with the Sharks afterward, but I don't think he's going to lose talent like the Sharks, like he did with the Devils. He's not, well, he may lose Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau. I think the Sharks are going to stay talented. So there's also that. The trends are pointing to the Penguins based on things like that I just mentioned. So what are the Sharks going to have to do? Well, it's going to be very, very tough. We talk about skill, we talk about offense. This has the makings of an offensive affair, or a lot of shots on goal. I don't know how much defense we're really going to see. I mean, the Penguins have their guys, they're loaded. You got guys like Chris Letang and company, and they are loaded. It's always been scary with the Penguins, and it's amazing to think they haven't been to the finals since 2009. But finally the right coach and maybe the right identity has given them that run, because they've had some disappointing exits in the past. The biggest story for them is Matt Murray taking over as goalie over Marc-Andre Fleury due to injury, and he's been red hot. He's pulled this thing called a Cam Ward, where a guy just comes in there and gets hot and carries them. And he's definitely made a big difference for them. And now, instead of having to worry to score on the Penguins, you have to start worrying about their offense. Guys like Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on. Phil Kessel, now with the team. Chris Kunitz. Lot of front-end talent. So high-scoring affair. Once again, this has the makings of high scoring. On the other end, of course, the Sharks. Martin Jones has been the man. His stats won't tell you that, but if you've watched the games, you know that he can make the big saves if necessary. So he has been a big reason why the Sharks are here, and why, when they've been outplayed, Jones has bailed them out quite a few times. So, coming into this, the Sharks have the depth. I think the Sharks' third and fourth lines might be a bigger deal than the Penguins. But the Penguins have better front-end talent, and they're probably a little bit younger when we talk about their core players. I mean, we all know what their core guys do. Everyone knows who they are in the hockey world, so there's that. It is really amazing, though, to see that both of these coaches took over teams that were kind of struggling or they were mediocre. Of course, with the Sharks, they didn't even make the playoffs the year before. But this year, they had this. Most of the team is the same, minus Donskoy and a little bit of bottom six switches up. But otherwise, guys like Chris Tierney getting playing time, that's been a big deal. You know, the Sharks were not backed into the playoffs. They were kind of mediocre to start, and then they've had a hot run since January. They've had that one road trip that was really good. They had some really good runs on the road. winning. So I'm not scared of starting in Pittsburgh. I'm more scared of playing at home. But this Penguins team is just as loaded when you're in the finals. Uh, yeah, I still believe this has the makings of high shots. Both teams could get 30 shots or 40 shots in a game. I don't think the defenses are going to stop the front end talent of good passing, good shots. Sharks also got to have to defend a long pass. That's where I'm going to be worried. Tampa Bay did a pretty good job to force Game 7, considering the talent and the guys who were missing. But yeah, the Penguins' front end talent was just too much, just way too much. And the Sharks, they know what they have to do. The best part is they've had the mental edge this whole playoffs. We haven't seen them falter hard, with the exception of part of that Nashville series. They made it kind of scary, but I've seen a lot more better defense when it comes to closing the game. The Sharks look a lot smarter there. And of course, there's the other fun subplot if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. You got Roman Polak, there's Nick Spaulding, and then they have Phil Kessel, and not that we'll see him much, but James Reimer. Obviously, if James Reimer's playing, that means an injury or some really ineffective goaltending happens. I don't want to see that, but yeah, it would be really something if Reimer played in Toronto. Toronto Maple Leafs fans would go nuts. I don't know how Canada feels about this series. I know there hasn't been a team in the playoffs this year. A really weird, really strange year. I know some teams were hurt, like the Habs losing their goalie and so on. So I'm wondering, who are you pulling for? I would logically think people want the Sharks, unless you're a fan of a Pacific League division team. And okay, maybe you don't like a few players, but the Sharks, I haven't, or people are pulling for the Penguins if you just like Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and some front-end talent that the Penguins have. So I'm actually curious, who are you rooting for if you're not a fan of either team? I hope the Sharks create a story, and an important one, because this team obviously hasn't done a thing prior to this year and making the finals. So the Sharks, that's a story in itself, just seeing guys like Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau in there for the first time in history. And then there's guys like Joe Pavelski and Logan Couture who've gotten the team better. This team has passed the torch on to Couture and Pavelski, that this team is built around them. It's no longer Thornton and Marleau's team, really, when we look at the big picture. So that should be a story in itself. And then, of course, if you're in Canada, I should like Marc-Edouard Vlasic. That's the other guy who's helped on your national team. So, yeah, I'm aware of all that stuff. Though this should be a very good series. I don't make predictions, but I do think goaltending will be more of a factor than defense and other scoring. If both goalies are capable of standing on their heads, it's going to be who blinks first rather than getting defensive stops. And yeah, special teams are special teams. We all know how that's been. So we'll see you guys later. Go Sharks, and you're gonna be nervous. This Penguins team is not any slouch, and they're just as dangerous as the Sharks immensely. But we got to believe in this case. This is probably the window short on Marleau and Thornton. See you guys later, and go Sharks. Let me know what you all think.